I just bought this Mark IV Supra that caught on fire. And now we're gonna rebuild it, which makes this one of the scariest rebuilds we've ever done. Now, big risks mean even bigger rewards. And there's no doubt that I overpaid for this car. But I was on a bidding war with someone else on Copart, and honestly, I got a little carried away. 48.7, now we're at 49. Are we overpaying for the Supra? I don't know. It got beaten.
50.
Oh, there it is, 50.
Let's go.
I don't know if we overpaid for that. We might have. Oh, God. Now, obviously, a burnt down automatic Mark IV Supra is not worth $50,000. But what could be worth $50,000 is what I saw underneath the hood. Clearly, there's a ton of aftermarket parts on this car. So let's take it inside and see if we hit the jackpot. Starting with the front of the car, I don't know if this is a stock bumper. I think it could be a stock bumper, a stock front end. I don't remember because immediately after I got mine, I put a Ridox front bumper on it, so I'm not too familiar, but you can obviously tell there is a big front mount right behind the front bumper. We have a set of rays on the car. Looks like it has stock brakes. Can't see what coilovers it quite has. Aftermarket skirts that actually look pretty good. I actually like that style a lot. He has some sort of TRD wing. They never came in carbon on the end, so it's obviously some sort of replica, which is as to be expected. You can't even get this thing new from Toyota anymore, so there was just a lot of remakes out there. And then he has an exhaust on, which we already have seen, and no diffuser. Oh, look at this. A little backup cam guy right there. The most entertaining part of this whole entire thing is gonna be the engine bay. So to get to that, we need to go inside and pull the hood release. So let's go inside the car. I've never even been in a left-hand drive Supra before. Now, the obvious part about this whole entire car, the big sore thumb, is right here. It's an automatic. Now, before you get too upset, the real reason as to why we bought this car is because of what was under the hood. There seems to be a lot of value under there. Otherwise, this would be a big flop. And what's really cool, I don't know how to do it. This is the Supra that has the sport roof, like in Fast and Furious. My other one does not have the sport roof, but this is convertible. So I'm excited about that. But the interior looks pretty good. I mean, it's very similar condition to the Supra that I have. It's a little bit beat up around here, but it seems to all be here. No obvious cracks. The condition, okay, as spoke too soon. Gonna need one of those. Factory head unit, which is nice. They included that. It has like literally the same nav unit that I have in my car, but okay. Surely we're finding certain things about this car that may not be perfect, but electronic control system, HKS. Okay, this is the big moment. My guess is that this is an old HKS single turbo kit. I'm hoping it is, rather than some knockoff Chinese turbo setup. I'm hoping it's an HKS, and dangling right here is the turbo timer for an HKS electronics technology. That is a really good sign. Let's open the hood and see what we got.
Give her a pop.
The fire's right behind the turbo. I don't know what the harness looks like. I don't know what the engine looks like.
We were right. That's nice.
It's a comp turbo with an HKS cover on the back. Here's all the fire in the back here.
Oh, look at that split harness. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, whole engine harness. Absolutely shot.
Dude, it's got a rail and injectors too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it does have a rail. And lines were removed off. They're not here.
No, just for the breather, but for the fuel they're saying.
It's an old comp turbo that has a look. Look at this. HKS covered on it. That's kind of sick. This intake manifold, what is that?
I think it's a modified factory upper.
Yeah, that is strange. It does look like a factory lower manifold. Yeah, that's been modified. That's very interesting. See, the real question is we don't know how much power this Supra makes. I don't know how strong the automatic drivetrain is. I know that the manual setups, the whole diff and transmission alone can handle 1,000 horsepower, no question. A stock JZ can easily take 600 horsepower all day, no questions asked. Once you start pushing that 700-ish, 700 horsepower is where you'll start to have a head problem. But with the built head, you can easily make 850 or potentially 900 like our Supra up here, and it's pretty stout until it's not. So the question is, how much horsepower is this making? How much horsepower is this turbo good for? If we see a large wastegate, could just be old technology, but a larger wastegate means a larger wastegate spring, which means more boost, which means more power. So that's definitely something to look into. Today's video is sponsored by Cheddar, AKA Underdog Fantasy. And typically, I talk about how I love to use Underdog Fantasy to play fantasy sports for football. But today's promo isn't about football, it's about basketball. Check it out. It's simple. All you gotta do is pick whether your favorite player is gonna go higher or lower than his projected stat. And if you win, you can make some serious cheddar. Kobe. You can make your own entry with as few as 2 picks and 3 extra money, or you can go big and you can even 100 extra money. I've been using Underdog Fantasy for the last 6 months, and as you can see, I have played quite a few times, and I've gotten the whole entire friends group obsessed with it, and even Sabrina's dad. And right now, Underdog Fantasy has a new customer special. Will Giannis do more than 1 point? All he has to do is score more than 1 point to win. Oh, and did I forget to mention Underdog Fantasy? Damn it! Oh, and did I mention that Underdog Fantasy games are available in Oh, and did I forget to mention that Underdog Fantasy games are available in 30 plus? Oh, and did I forget to mention that Underdog Fantasy Pick'em games are available in 30? Oh, and did I mention that Underdog's Pick'em games are available in 30 plus states, including California, Florida, Texas, and even Canada? And I have a special promo for you. Right now, Underdog is gonna be offering new users a $100 deposit match. If you deposit $100, they'll give you $100 for free. All you have to do is use code HUNT or click the links down below in the description. Thank you so much, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get back to it.
Dude, my guess is this thing made over 7, maybe 8.
But here's the thing, that could be true and that would be awesome, but just because it's making 700 and making 800 doesn't mean that the motor's good for it. So we also don't really know the condition of this motor. We're definitely gonna have to do a compression test just to see its life condition and all that stuff and make sure that the car is good. I would be interested to take off this valve cover and see what kind of coil packs it actually has. As if it has stock coil packs, stock JZ coils are good, they can handle a good amount of power. But LS coil packs are an upgrade. I have those on my Selena JZ350 car. But the real money, and it's very popular to do, is the VR38 R35 GTR coils that can handle good power. Given that most of this looks to be pretty old technology, I would pretty much doubt that there would be VR38 coils in here.
Dude, this thing had an EGT sensor. Like, someone was trying to push power on this thing.
So that's what I was saying. I feel like normally when you see JZs that have like a single turbo setup and they've kept the automatic, they're usually keeping the automatic because they're making some pretty big power, and it's easier to do like a highway pull off of an automatic trans than it is doing off of a manual, if it's built for that. Could be interesting.
Dump pipe is pointed just right at the subframe, which might have been a part of the problem.
My guess is that it was gonna be a oil line fire, but the oil lines are still on the car, which means it could have been wastegate dump related. It looks like the fueling system has AN lines all the way back. That's the fuel system that's going to our rail. And if this has AN lines all the way from the pump to the back, dude, that would be such a huge win. How crazy would it be if we saw some like radium setup in here?
I think it's not as old as we thought, but I think it's not as new as radium potentially. This is impossible.
It looks like it was kept pretty good. Like the fact that none of this stuff is missing.
Did you see the seat?
Yeah.
The seats are so
yeah.
neat.
Oh, we're gonna have to take all this off.
Let's do it.
Yeah. For those that are not filled in with Supra fuel delivery systems, the fuel pump and the hanger sits right here in the back of the trunk. So when we take off this cover for the spare tire, what we're gonna reveal is the top side of the fuel system. If you have what we prefer, which is like the full radium drop-in surge tank setups, it would sit right here. I don't think we're gonna see a radium setup. I think that's too modern, but there's a lot of nice parts on this car, so we might see at least some wiring for fuel pumps, or we'll see something.
I'm ready for modifications. Banjo? Feed? Aftermarket?
Yeah, right here.
So maybe just a pump and an adapter line? Hey, is this Dynamat or is this factory?
Dynamat is not factory, at least not in mine. Do we do it?
Yeah, we can crack it off real quick.
Let's crack it off. Let's see what it's not like it's running. Dylan's gonna stay here, remove all these lines, and we're gonna try to pull the intake out to see what fuel pumps is in there. If we see a big pump, that would give us reason to believe that this was making a lot of power. In the meantime, I'm gonna come here to the front. We're gonna take off this valve cover and we're just gonna see what the coil setup looks like. Hopefully we find some BR38 coils. That'd be pretty nice. Moment of truth. Whoa. Okay, so it looks like we have the stock JZ coils. Not a bad thing, but look what else we found. Cam gears, HKS cam gears.
Oh, that's tight.
Dude, now you know what I'm thinking about? Does it have cams?
Stop.
If this engine is built to any degree, that would be a huge come up. That would be a huge win.
Look how fat this intercooler is. Nobody pointed that out?
Holy
That's 4 inches thick.
crap. No, I didn't even see that. Oh, it's a Greddy intercooler too.
Hey.
Wow, that's a 4-inch core. Again, it could just be old technology, but if you're running an intercooler that big, I mean, just for example, this one's making a little under 900 and it's a 3-inch core and it's more than efficient enough. To have a 4-inch core, could be making some big power. Oh, dude, that'd be so cool.
Ew. TI. I think it's the same pump I have in my car. It's aftermarket. It's just a Bosch 450 liter per hour. So
Still big.
still big. Kind of roughly good for 1,000. That pump on gasoline. Not that it'd be pushing that.
We're used to getting these 90s cars and they're rotten. It's actually in fairly nice condition.
I'm rotten. This thing's cherry.
My Supra was way worse when we did this. It was way worse.
I think this was done more recent than we thought it was.
I know the owner is going to find this video. I know we're going to find them. That's just the power of YouTube. It's crazy. It's the power of the internet. If you're the owner of this, reach out to us. I'd love to hear the story. I'd love to even maybe get you out here and you can drive it when it's done. I want to know how this happened, how the fire happened. That'd be really cool for an episode. And then you also did some more digging in the front.
Someone spent time and love on this, right? Like, look, paint matched intercooler piping, polished intake piping. It's just, I don't know, it all matches. It all matches. Someone really took their time to make it look good as far as the exterior.
I mean, that's what's cool because normally when we find these cars, we get them and we kind of like respectfully bag on it. We're like, oh, dude, this was neglected. It was hammered. It has crappy parts. This, although it caught fire, is littered with good parts. We haven't come across anything yet that's like, oh, that's kind of janky, that's garbage. It's all like pretty good. So far, it's feeling like a win for the purchase.
I think so.
50 grand for an automatic Supra is a lot of money, but there could be, you know, an extra 15 grand worth of stuff just under the hood alone. And so far, I mean, I'm feeling good. The fact that this Supra was loaded with so many parts is amazing. And it's really cool to pick up where someone left off. This car is littered with a variety of parts front to back, which is hopeful to see. But with all good news comes some bad news. Ian has spent some time digging into the Supra and he's made a couple more discoveries that Dylan and I didn't catch.
It's got a 5-bar Pro EFI map sensor. You're like, oh, Pro EFI sensor, that's odd. I don't know who would put a map sensor in a car with a stock ECU or anything. Well, if you come over here, you ain't got no ECU.
Damn, our boy clipped the ECU out of the car. And not only did he clip the ECU out of the car, he went at it with clippers. Rather than unplugging and taking it, he literally just ripped it out.
And he took his gauges. You can see there's a hole here.
Did take the gauges.
You got the little screw mark here and here and here. This thing probably seen some life. Seen some good life.
And you found an ethanol sensor, a flex sensor as well.
I did.
Which is good because based on that pump on 91, the pump that's in this car, we don't think it would have gone more than like mid-6s. But if it was on ethanol, could be going into potentially the 7s, maybe. I'm hoping that we end up getting a nice little surprise and we find something in this engine, whether it's cams, that'd be super sick, or maybe it's a built head. In the absolute jackpot, we end up having pistons and rods. I doubt it, but that could be a huge jackpot.
All right, Ian just went to town, pulled the spark plugs, pulled the valve covers off. We found what we think are stock cams, but there's some ARP head studs, and they all look good so far. It looks like factory shim over bucket, maybe no head building, no head work. I just turned it over with the cams, and it feels pretty smooth, so I'm hoping that's consistent.
Before we pull the Supra inside and drop the engine and get into it, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a wash. It's clear this car has been sitting outside for some time, and it's time for us to make it look a little bit nicer. Supra. I'm not gonna lie, seeing this Supra look this clean is a breath of fresh air. It's always a little bit intimidating when you get a brand new car that you don't know what's wrong with it in the shop. But after today and finding all the parts and cleaning the car off, I can confidently say this car is gonna be amazing by the time we're done with it. And as we load the Supra on the lift, we're gonna get a close to today's video. Come back in the next episode where we're gonna be dropping the engine, tearing it apart, and seeing what further damage may be ahead of us. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out, and keep moving forward.